Okay, so today's lesson or revision session is going to be on indices. Now, before we start, I just want you to pause the video for a few minutes and write down as many laws or relationships of indices as you can think of, and then we'll carry on. Okay, so most of you, I hope, would have managed to get the three laws of indices that we start off with when we teach indices. They would be that if you have, say, a number, say 7 to the power 2, you times that number by 7 to the power 4, then you add the indices. So that will become 7 to the power 6. Now the reason behind this is the fact that you have, this one is 7 times 7, this is 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. If we times them together, you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's our first law of indices. If you have the same number here, then you can, and you're timesing them together, then you add indices together to get the final answer. Now, equally, using a similar rule, if you had 7 to the 4 and you divided by 7 to the 2, then you would end up with 7 to the 2. That is because we've got 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 divided by 7 times 7. We cancel 2 of those out. We end up with 7 to the 2. So that's rule 1. That's rule 2. If we were going to write rule 1 and rule 2 in general form, we could write that A to the B plus A to the C equals A to the B plus C. If we're going to write those two in general form, we could say that A to the B plus A to the C, times A to the C is equal to A to the B plus C. And equally, A to the B divided by A to the C is equal to A to the B minus C. So those are our first two laws of indices. Now our third law is to do with when we raise a power to another power. So let's say we have 2 to the power 2. We want to raise it to another power 2 outside the bracket. So we're going to raise the whole of this, the whole of 2 to the power 2 by 2. Okay, now what this means is essentially that you've got 2 times 2, you're squaring it. Now we know what squaring means. Basically times it by itself again. And so you'd end up with 2 times 2 times by 2 times 2. And I hope if you can see, if we get rid of this bracket here, and this bracket here, you've ended up with 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay, now we haven't added these two numbers. It's important to know that we haven't added those two numbers. What we've in fact done is we've multiplied those two numbers. So if we had 3 to the 2 to the power 2 to the power 3, should we say, that's going to be 3 to the power 2 times 3. It's not adding, it's multiplying, which would be 3 to the power 6. Okay. And if you're wondering if you want that longhand, just to make sure that is correct, 3 to the 2 is 3 times 3. We're raising it to the power 3, so we've got 3 lots of that. So it's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. This is 3 times 3 cubed. And you can see if you get rid of these brackets, you end up with 6 3's, which is 3 to 6. Okay, Now in general form, we would write this as a to the b raised to the power c is a to the b. This is our third one. Okay, with those three in mind, what I'd like you to do is to have a go at some of these questions that are on the screen. See whether you can do them. So pause the video, have a go, and then move on to the next stage. Okay, so the answers, as we go through these, the first one, you should have, let me get a pen up, 9 to the 4. The second one, here, which is number 3, don't ask why, is 5 to the 3. And then you have 2 to the 2. 2 to the 11. 3 to the 9. Remember to add all indices, so that's 4 to the 9. A to the 2. C squared. A to the 24. 6 to the 6a to the power 8. Now on this one, be careful, because the 6 is not affected. Only the things which have the same letter. Okay, so the 6 is not changed. That is times by the answer you're getting. So it is not affected. In this one, the 6 would be affected because you're dividing by 2. So you divide the whole number separately and the ones with the letters separately. So in this case, we would end up with 3c to the 2. And in the last one, similarly, you end up with 5a to the 4. Okay, so hopefully you're okay with those ones. So what about negative powers? Well, negative powers just mean that you put 1 over whatever the positive power is. So in this case, when I've got 4 to the minus 1, 4 to the minus 1 is essentially the same as saying 1 over 4 to the 1. So this negative sign clearly only just means this, basically this 1 over business. Okay? And obviously 1 over 4 to the 1 is just 1 over 4. So, can you have a go at the second two? Pause the video and then I'll go through what the other two are on this page for you. Okay, so the other two, hopefully, you've had a go at them. If not, don't worry. You go through them anyway. You've got 3 to the minus 2. Now the minus sign just means 1 over, so that's just over 1 over 3 to the 2, which is the same as 1 over 9. That's your answer. And a half to the minus 3. Well, 1 over 1 over 2 to 3. And if you do to 3 straight, and if you do 1 over a half, then you hopefully know if you divide by a fraction, you end up with flipping times. So 1 divided by 1/2 is the same as 1 times 2 over 1, which is 2. And so this will be the same as 2 to the power 3. If you're unsure about this flipping times, have a look up in your GCSE books or any other maths books. You should be able to do it. Or you can just remember that if you divide the whole number by a fraction, then you flip the fraction in times. Okay, so hopefully we have the answers. Okay, so that's negative signs. And the last thing we need to look at is fractional indices. Now, fractional indices just mean roots. 1/2 is a square root, 1/3 is a cube root. 1/4 is a root to the power 4. Okay, so 9 to the half just is saying we could rewrite that, though we don't have to because now we're more advanced maths as the square root of 9, which is just 3. 64 to the third is the same as the cube root of 64, and you should be able to do that on your calculators, which is hopefully 4. And the last one. The last one's a little bit more tricky. It's got a couple of elements. Okay, we've got the fourth root, or minus the fourth root of 32. Now, remember what we said about negative indices. Negative indices only mean 1 over. Okay, flipping it, putting 1 over. So this can be written as 1 over 32 to the power of quarter. Okay. It's got rid of the negative indice that was here. That's when we've done 1 over, that's why that negative is gone. Now, when we're doing to a quarter, we can do top and bottom, the cube root, the root to the fourth, top and bottom. Now, the root to the fourth of 1 is just 1. Root to the power 4 of 32 is, in fact, it's 2. So that would be a level 1 over. We can have a look and make sure that I have got those right. That's a relief. Okay. So what I want you to do now is to have a go at these questions that are on the screen. Pause the video, have a go, and see how you do. Okay, so the first few, which, and don't ask me about my numbering, which are basically 1 to 35, hopefully are very similar to the ones we've done before. Just redoing them again. We've got numbers involved a little bit, remember treating them separately. So let's say if I take number 5 will be 20a to the power 6. So 20a to the power 5. If we look at number 35, it's going to be, we have 5a squared squared. That's the same as 5a squared times 5a squared. 5 times 5 is 25. A squared times a squared. Well, we should know our rules of indices. So a squared times a squared is equal to a to the, adding those two together, a to the 4. So we end up with 25 a to the 4. If you've got any problems with any of these, or have any issues, and I'll write the answers so you can put them as a file on Moodle for you, then you can get back to me. Now, the bottom 3 are the ones with the negative indices. You've got 9 to the minus a half, which I hope you have worked out is a third. Remember the negative, so it's 1 over. 64 to the minus 3, which is 1/4, and 81 to the minus a half, which is 1 over 9. Okay, so the last step and the final step, and if you've been happy up to now, which I hope you are, then it should be relatively, I hope, straightforward, is to combine these rules. Now, the way we're going to combine these is just by taking it step by step. So we are going to combine indice rules and take them step by step. So let us say we have a question which is, say, 1 over 81 to the minus 3 over 4. Okay, 1 over 81 to the minus 3 over 4. Right, now, looks a little bit complicated, a little bit more difficult than what we've done before. But we just need to separate it into steps using industry rules. So 1 over 81 to minus 3 over 4. Well, we could say, if you're happy, and hopefully you'll be happy, with one of those first three rules we started off with right at the beginning of this video. Well, that is the same as 1 over 81 the fourth root to the power minus 3. Or if I probably, maybe you might prefer if I go 1 over 81 to the quarter minus 3. Okay. Now, you might think, well, that's hopefully okay. Well, what is 81 to the quarter? 81 to the quarter is, you should go doing your calculators, 3. So this bit here is 3. So we now have got, this has become 1 over 3 to the minus 3. And it's looking a little bit more useful, a little bit more easy than it was before. So, okay, well, let's get rid of that minus then. Let's do another step. Let's get rid of the minus. Well, we know minus is 1 over, so this is the same as 1 over 1 over 3 to the 3. And 1 over a power, remember to flip and times, or however you learnt your fractions. So 1 over 1 over 3 is the same as 3 to the power 3. This bit in here has just gone down to there. And that, therefore, ends up as the answer of 27. Done. Now, if you're happy with doing it with less steps, that's fine. But if you're not happy with this, just take it individual steps. The most important thing is to get it right. Don't lose marks or lose value in doing more steps, so long as your answer is right. The thing about maths is its accuracy, not the amount of time it takes. Okay, so what I would like you to have a go at, and I'd like you to pause the video and then I'll go through an answer, is this one. Okay, so using the same rules as we did last time, we're going to take it step by step. Okay, so 1 over 125 to minus 2 over 3. Well, we could write that as 1 over 125 to the third to minus 2. Now, when you're doing indices, one of the big tips with indices is it's better to go small to start off with and then to raise the power. Because you had a choice here. You could have gone, you could have squared it and then tried to cube root it afterwards, or you could cube root it and then square it. Now it's easier to go small. So it's easier to do this step. It's easier to cube root 125 and then square it than it is the other way around. So cube root of 125, maybe you don't know, maybe your calculator should be able to tell you, is 5. So you ended up with 1 over 5 minus 2. And here on in, we're just back to nice numbers. So you've got, the next step is getting rid of that minus. We've got 5 to the 2. And then that's getting rid of that other MC. We end up with 25 as our answer. And that is just combining the rules that you have. Now, sometimes you may not see it written like this. This original question could have been written as 1 over 125 squared raised to the minus 1/3. You know from our rules of indices that you just times these powers together to get this original power up here. be aware of all these things. They're not here to trick you, they're just here to test your knowledge of indices. Now, they're on the middle side. I'm going to put a worksheet. It will have the answers on it. It is you to decide how much you're going to use it. So try the worksheet and then check the answers. Good luck.